I'm in politics for power. They say they are not. You say, I love power. I love power. That's why I'm in politics. Politics is a power game.
So I released a short video last week. I think it was a TikTok, and then I posted it on other platforms, stating that I will be voting for Gayton McKenzie's Patriotic Alliance, the PA. And I tried in that video to emphasize that just because I'm voting for the Patriotic Alliance does not mean that you should. In fact, I don't want you to vote for the Patriotic Alliance because you are not me. I am voting for the PA for myself and for my needs and the type of leader I would like to put a vote forward to. I've been sitting with different politicians. Musi Maimani of Bold One South Africa, Bossa. I've sat with Mpho Takada of Arise SA. I've sat with Vuyo Zungula of the African Transformation Movement, the ATM. In the past, I've sat with Mr. Herman Mashaba of Action SA. Who else have I sat with? I'm trying to think. I'm hoping to sit with more politicians. I've obviously sat with Gayton McKenzie as well. I have very strong views about the political system in this country. I believe our voting system is broken. I believe that the majority of South Africans should not have democracy because democracy is for a politically literate nation and arguably a nation that has equal opportunity to economics. And I don't think this country has that. And democracy ends up being this rigged game where the poor are promised grants and other freebies to vote for the majority party and to not apply their minds politically to understand the consequences of voting for a party like the African National Congress. I've spoken up very strongly about how I do not support Cyril Ramaphosa as a leader. Many of the other ANC leaders are leaders I do not respect personally. I believe the ANC has broken South Africa. They have destroyed our state-owned enterprises. They've ensured that unemployment has gone up. They've ensured that our schooling system is no longer practical and is destructive. Crime has gone up. We do not have borders, so anyone can come in and out and bring drugs and guns and violence and whatever. The ANC is not a great leader for this country. I understand that political systems in this country are merely caretakers on behalf of the real owners of the land, of which those are the big businesses, locally owned but majority foreign owned. Some of the biggest mining houses, Sibanye, Stillwater, Anglo Gold, Anglo Ashanti, Patrice Motsipe's African Rainbow Minerals, and so many others. Then you've got the big commercial farms which feed into clover, they feed into Afgri, they feed into companies like Karen Beef, etc. You've got the banks, of course, who have been proven time and again to be corrupt, to run as cartels and to rig not only our currencies, but to have high bank charges that don't make sense in a developing country. We've got big pharmaceuticals that run this country, just like they run most of the modern world as well. And there are many other auditing firms, insurance companies, the retail companies, of course. We've got ShopRite in South Africa. Walmart has come in through Massmart. We've got your Woolworths, your Pick and Pay. And then we've got so many other foreign businesses, the German engineering companies that operate here, the automotive industry, the clothing big business that comes from China and other parts of the world, etc., etc. They run this country, and the politicians are then asked to be caretakers, prefects, or Manchingelani security guards on behalf of those people's interests. And they need to be a buffer between the majority, of which some of them are the working class, and then the poor. To be like, keep these people at bay so we can milk the commodities in this country and we can exploit the consumerism of this country. With that said, I have not been wanting to vote. I've been saying I want to spoil my ballot. The sad thing with the Independent Electoral Commission, which I do not think is independent, I think it's captured and it's biased, the IEC. What did I want to say? With the spoiled ballots, spoiling a ballot does nothing in the real world. If 1 million of us spoil our ballots, the IEC does not ring fence that number and say, we will ensure that many of those chairs are empty. We will ensure that many of those chairs are given to alternative voices. They just say these are spoiled, they note them down, they chuck them out the window, and then they take the rest of the votes and then they apportion accordingly. Independent candidates, which were allowed constitutionally because of the work of Dr. Michael Louis, they've been given a high barrier to entry. And it's almost stupid to run as an independent candidate now. I think Tutuzane Zuma has seen that. And he's now launched his political party. And congrats to him and the rest of his team. AGC, all game changers. To run now as a political party. Many people thought he'd be running as the leader of Umkhonto weSizwe, which his father, Jacob Zuma, is promoting. But he's not affiliated with Umkhonto weSizwe MK. However, his twin sister, Duduzile Zuma, is there, helping her father at her father's side. He's doing his own thing. AGC, all game changers. It's a broken system. And then you look at our economy. It's highly unequal in income. And then you look at, of course, a few taxpayers, about 7 million, some people have said, all the way up to 15 million taxpayers, income taxpayers. And then we've got close to 29 million grant recipients. That's just grants. On top of the grants, there's RTPs. I think about over 3 million people have received RTP houses. We've got free hospitals and clinics, free schools where kids get fed, etc. It's a welfare state for half of the country. It's a broken system. So with that in mind, I have to be like, since this thing doesn't really matter, and the people that run the country I need to pick the type of security guard and caretaker that is going to try and challenge the owners of this country to be like, can we give a better deal to the people? And for me, currently, that's Gayton McKenzie. He comes from the ANC. He used to support Jacob Zuma. He even supported Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I didn't support Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma. I used to like Jacob Zuma by and large. A lot of his politics I did not support as well. I was one of the people that were against Nkandla, and I wanted him to be punished for the money that was lost with Nkandla. I watch with open eyes with the State Capture Commission and the arms deal to see where are the facts so that I can crucify him like everyone else. And it's been difficult to isolate him away from the ANC, all the other ANC leaders, Thabo Mbeki, Nelson Mandela, Cyril Ramaphosa, Kgalema Motlanthe, etc., and to isolate him away from big business, who always pointed him as a bad guy. Meanwhile, you look at the behaviors they've committed in this country, from big pharmaceuticals to the mines, to the people that fund political parties, to the banks, etc. These guys are way worse, in my opinion, than Jacob Zuma. But I'm not saying he is innocent either. That is the country we have. Gayton McKenzie comes from that type of ANC, just like Julius Malema comes from the ANC. He also used to support Jacob Zuma, etc. Today, he started the Patriotic Alliance. He's gone on with Kenny Gunene to take over certain wards. He ran a municipality, I think it's Beaufort West, if I'm not mistaken, in the Karoo. He did a great job. He made promises, he set deadlines, he delivered. And where he didn't deliver, he gave a report on what had happened. He holds businessmen to account. Him and I share a mutual friend in Rob Hersoff, and he's argued with Rob Hersoff, even with me present. I've argued with Rob Hersoff, and Rob is just one man. He's a legacy of the people that built this country from an economic perspective. But we debate ideologically. Things like capitalism, we debate. But Rob is just one man. We debate with so many other wealthy people, some white, some black, some colored, some Indian. Whether you like them or not, these are people that create jobs, that pay the tax, that influence the politicians. Gayton McKenzie calls out some of the politicians themselves. But many people don't like him because they say he's an ex-convict, of which he is, and he owns it. I used to commit heinous crimes. I was part of the rot in this country because I felt I didn't have a choice. If I wanted to live a good life, I would need to get my money. I'm not good academically. I'm not good in sports. I found this avenue. But after coming out of jail, he turned a new leaf. He could have gone straight back into crime. But he went and he wrote a book about his experiences in jail. And he went around all the schools in the country speaking about his story and selling his books to make money. From there, him and Kenny Gunene started businesses. Many different businesses. Eventually getting into mining, getting into security, founding a club called ZAR, big club at some point. Ravonio on Deck, which was an African cuisine business, and now going into politics. The guy is open, he's transparent, he's not hiding his skeletons, he's owning them. He's been paying his debt to society. He creates jobs, he hires ex-convicts who struggle to get jobs, and he speaks truth to power. Meanwhile, we've got real criminals, big business, other politicians who are corrupt, who have never spent time in jail. Marcus Jooste Steinhoff, some of the other big business people in this country, some of the big politicians, Cyril Ramaphosa and Phala, even Jacob Zuma himself and Nkandla, none of these guys have spent time in prison outside of Zuma's short stint for the contempt of court. A bullshit ruling as well. So that's my opinion. I've got so many issues with Gayton myself. There are things I disagree with him on. I'm not pro-Israel, but I'm also not pro-Palestine. I'm not picking sides on that because, frankly, it's got nothing to do with me. And I want people to do the right thing and to allow each other to live together in peace and to thrive. Gayton McKenzie has been seen almost being pro-Israel. I don't know. I don't really care. I think Herman Mashaba, Musi Maimane the same. I don't know. I don't care. I'm looking at the issues here, and Gayton McKenzie is one of the only politicians that is trying to put South Africans first. Julius Malema wants an open Africa. He's putting Africans first, but not South Africans. The DA, I believe, is a racist party. I believe it. I've asked Musi Maimane. I asked Bongani Baloyi. I didn't mention him earlier, of Shiluba. I think the DA is a racist party. Even Sivngesi on X now keeps saying, but the DA is not serious about ridding themselves of this brand of racism. The ANC is corrupt and it's breaking the country. Some of the other smaller parties, ATM is brilliant. Vuyo Zungula is brilliant. Unfortunately, I'm no longer pro-black and I'm not pan-African. Then there's Rise Mzansi, which is coming up great with clever blacks, the upwardly mobile blacks, with Usongezo Zibi. I know Rob Hirshoff loves Usongezo as well, as an example. Then you've got Ace Makashule's ACT. I'm not really a fan of Ace. I don't know what he's about. I'm not really interested. Big fan of Duduzane Zumana. I wish he could get into parliament. I think that would be pretty dope. But if I have to pick between him and Gayton McKenzie, I have to go for Gayton. I love Musi Maimane. I would love for him to have a huge role in parliament. Unfortunately, between him and Gayton again, I'm going for Gayton. That's my opinion. But for you guys, you need to sculpt a list of your demands. This is what I demand of a leader and a political party, and I will vote for them. None of them are perfect. Most of them are almost the same. Gayton, Musi, all these guys are going to go into coalition with each other. They'll give their votes. Uvele Nkosi Nhlabisa will give some of his votes to the DA. The EFF will give some of their votes to the ANC. The PA might give some of their votes to the ANC. It's a mess because, as I said, the system is broken. But if I have to pick a security guard to watch the gate to my home, a home that is not owned by me, I'm just a lowly tenant who has to work hard just to afford rent, and I get to pick a security guard, Gayton McKenzie is my security guard. Herman Mashaba, absolutely brilliant, the best mayor we've had in Johannesburg. Unfortunately, again, Action SA is almost a DA light. Brilliant model, brilliant machine, and I support everyone who's voting for Action SA. But between Herman and Gayton, I want Gayton. That's me. That's what I'm voting for. But I will remain impartial in my conversations with many politicians. I will try and extract value from them on behalf of you guys, their voters, so that we can sit and be like, guys, which security guard would you like to see? There are 400 seats in parliament. I just want Gayton in parliament. I'm not asking for him to be president. I want him in parliament. Who do you want in parliament? Vote for that person. Be like, I want him and his team to be in parliament. We can get all of these guys I've mentioned to sit in parliament. It does not need to be that you vote for an ANC which has a majority of people in parliament that we do not know, that sit there and sleep and do nothing. I'd like to hear some of your thoughts. Penny all the black pen.